I want to talk about Bellator, Sean. Bellator 255 went down last weekend. Patricio Pitbull Freire beats Emmanuel Sanchez in their rematch, this time in the semi-finals of the featherweight tournament. And now he faces AJ McKee in the finals. I don't believe we have a date for that. If we do, apologies, but I doubt it. But this is the perfect scenario for Bellator, right? They have their champion, Patricio, their biggest star right now, especially after Michael Chandler left. I mean, you could probably argue some of the UFC guys that have gone over, maybe Rumble will be one of their biggest stars, just in terms of name value. But they're, a homegrown fighter in Patricio Pitbull, and now facing AJ McKee, this undefeated guy who's pretty much been at Bellator for the significant portion of his career anyway. So, do you agree with me? Perfect ending to this. They couldn't have asked for anything better.
Yeah, I mean, when this tournament was announced, this was the one we all wanted to see. So yeah, it's worked out absolutely perfect. Love the in the cage face off as well. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was excellent. And I mean, that's something that the UFC don't do a whole lot, and I like that Bellator do it. But in terms of the matchup, and in terms of Pitbull's, let's talk about Pitbull's performance first. Against a really tough guy, Emmanuel Sanchez, who has just got better over the years. He pushed Pitbull the first time, and then goes in here, and Pitbull catches him really early with a guillotine choke. And I was watching Luke Thomas's breakdown of it, and he was completely right. It was a risky move by Pitbull to pull that guillotine, especially after hurting him a little bit, because you could end up on the bottom, let the guy recover. But he's obviously so confident in that choke that, I mean, it was game over the minute he felt it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something you'd advise someone to do when you have a guy hurt, is to take him to the ground. So you have to be supremely confident in your submission abilities, and he got it done. So who are we to argue?
Yeah, and then the face off, and then just in general. So Bellator for me, after watching this weekend, now I've felt this about Bellator for a while, that it's a good alternative to the UFC.
Yeah,
but I think when now, when we can watch it, yeah, that's true. But I think now with Bellator, the fact that they have this fight, which in my opinion, when you look at it in the featherweight landscape, could you argue that the winner of this could be the best featherweight in the world? I don't think it's a stretch. I mean, you can at least say he's either number one or number two, because Pitbull right now, I think you can make the argument that he's number one or number two featherweight in the world.
Yeah, I mean, there's 100% an argument there. I mean, there's never going to be a definitive answer to these questions, but there's an argument there to be had, and it's not, like you say, it's not a stretch at all to say Pitbull's the number one featherweight in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you throw on top now the light heavyweight tournament that Bellator are doing, which features the likes of Yoel Romero, Rumble, Anthony Rumble Johnson, Phil Davis, Leo Machida, Bader, Anderson, they're all the ex-UFC guys. But then you have Vadim Nemkov, who will be the favourite to win that. Another homegrown star, pretty much, with Bellator, and a guy who I think, again, especially with the landscape of the middleweight division, or the light heavyweight division in the UFC right now, with Jan Blachowicz, who, excellent beat Izzy, fantastic win, obviously takes the title. But, I mean, it's not the deepest division in the world, especially in the UFC. So there's another argument there that currently Bellator might have the best light heavyweight in the world with Vadim Nemkov, and then he could solidify himself as that champion, as the best champion in the world, essentially, with a win in this tournament. So you have the featherweight tournament coming to a close. You have this light heavyweight tournament. I think Bellator right now is required viewing if you're an MMA fan. It wasn't that before. It was a good option, a good alternative. But I think right now, with what they have, if you're an MMA fan worth your salt, you have to be watching Bellator, because there are some guys in here that you need to be watching that are just as good as guys in the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, that light heavyweight tournament's class.
So fun.
Really exciting for it. Really excited about it, because let's have a light heavyweight at the UFC. It's not a deep division at the minute. I mean, who's next for Blachowicz?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that Rumble and Yoel Romero was a fucking cracking fight. Let them two fuckers juice to the gills, man, and let me watch that.
Yeah,
I can't wait for that fight. And yeah, the tournament format is really working for them at the minute and getting some excitement about it. It's still frustrating that it's so hard to watch. Sometimes they're still shooting themselves in the foot with that, but they're getting better. They have deals now with BBC, with Virgin Media here in Ireland. They're getting better. I've slagged them for a long time about it. They are getting better. So
they're making moves. They're making moves. In terms of that light heavyweight division, What would be the perfect finish? I think everyone who watches Bellator will say Vadim Nemkov in the finals is probably what Bellator want.
Yeah.
You know, he's an excellent fighter. And I think having a homegrown guy winning the tournament against all these ex-UFC guys will be a good thing for Bellator. But when you look at the brackets, do you think it would be best for someone like Ryan Bader, even though he fought Nemkov before, to maybe get to that final? Pretty decent name. Or on the other side of the bracket, you have Corey Anderson, who just came from the UFC, was coming off a win, right, in the UFC, and signed with Bellator. Someone like him, maybe. I think either option there is good, but maybe specifically Corey Anderson because, he's just coming out of the UFC.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I have. I mean, with the featherweight one, it was pretty clear what the fans kind of wanted to see. It was AJ McKee and Patrício Pitbull. I'm not so sure if there's there's a lot of good fun outcomes here, I think, with this one. Nemkov is one I would like to see in the final. I think that's one the Bellator would like to see. But outside of that, I don't think there's a bad outcome for them as to who gets to the other side of the final.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this one, it's more of a let's play it out and see what happens. Yeah. And there's some good guys in there. I mean, if Rumble gets to the final, if Rumble goes in there, say he beats Yoel Romero or vice versa, and then they get into the final with Nemkov or at the semi-finals with Nemkov, I mean, that's a fight that that everybody wants to see as well. So there's a lot of options there, and of course the first fight goes down on the 16th of this month, so next week. So we have a UFC card this weekend and next week. That's the Nemkov and Phil Davis.
Okay.
And Anderson and Jager, I can't pronounce his name, I'm sorry. But we have two fights in the light heavyweight tournament going down, which is very fun. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, very excited for it.
Yeah, so required viewing. If you're listening to this podcast right now, watch Bellator. You have to watch it. That's your homework. You have to watch it. The MMA Movement podcast is now available on all audio platforms. Make sure you leave us a review if you're on Apple Podcasts or if your service allows a review. It really helps us out. We'll be posting clips from the podcast on this channel, so make sure you're subscribed. So if you're only interested in that, that's fine too. Let us know what your thoughts are on this video in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.